Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.
Good morning and welcome to your 1 week countdown to the election in Guam. My name is Troy Torres. It is now 8:39 a.m. on Saturday, July 25, 2026. I don't normally have shows on Saturdays, but because of the typhoon scheduling mix-up or mess-up with Bobby, and also because the election is next week, it's necessary to have this show. So there's no time that I'm supposed to have this show on Saturday, even though I haven't really been respecting with professionalism the time that I'm supposed to have this morning show, which is supposed to be at 8 a.m. daily from Monday to Friday. There's also a morning show on Sunday, but I don't put a schedule in it because my schedule on Sunday is dictated by my serving schedule over at Our Lady of Lourdes, and that comes first. There are some things that I want to talk to you about today that I think we've always felt passionate about, and it's mainly about poverty, mainly about the struggle that our people go through. And when I say our people, and I know that not everybody struggles, but most people on our island struggle, and it's something that should concern all of us. There's actually a prayer. Are any of you part of chat groups, or maybe in your WhatsApp family groups, you have somebody who sends you those morning prayer cards, right? And there was one this morning that, and normally I just read them. I do the sign of the cross and I say the prayer, right? But this morning I forwarded it to my family chat. And normally it's my stepmother who forwards these, but I beat her to it this morning because it's such a beautiful prayer. It says, "God, thank you that I don't have to go through life alone. You were always with me, and you've put people in my life to help me. I'm grateful that you created us to depend on each other and share our life experiences." I think this is just so important for us in the world we live in the island that we live in, to really highlight in this prayer. Let me repeat that again. I'm grateful you created us to depend on each other and share our life experiences. Community is your design, and I don't want to take it for granted. Help me to love and serve my friends well. In Jesus' name, amen. And so with that in mind, with that prayer, with that Christian prayer of community and being our brother's keeper in mind, there are these three issues that I wanted to bring to your attention, or to highlight. I know it's in your attention, but I want to highlight it. One is I want to tell you about a man who came to Guam in a boat, lived in his boat, would take in the stray dogs that people would dump at the Hoggett Marina, and then lost the boat during Bobby and is now homeless, and what you can do to help him. I want to talk about the great news that the administration was able to get the federal government to approve 30% additional SNAP benefit to existing SNAP recipients. But I want to advocate for everybody else who is not qualified for SNAP, who had food losses from both Sinlaku and from Bavi. And then I want to talk about the priorities that the legislature has thankfully stood up for, Democrats and Republicans together. Rather than what we saw in the display during the budget session, this session where the legislature is discussing the governor's request for supplemental funding from fiscal year 2026, the current fiscal year, most of the Democrat, or some of the Democrat, half of the Democrats, and I think all of the Republicans seem to be together in their questioning, their scrutiny of the administration's priorities, because while the administration has prioritized child care subsidies, which is absolutely important, I don't think any of them disagree about that. I don't think there's going to be a problem with the child care subsidies. Not that unless there's something I don't understand about it. But an airport bailout, that's another thing. Okay. And then there is this shadiness about $14 million or 13 point some million dollars that the administration wants in order to spend on disaster response and recovery from Sinlaku and from Bavi. And whether those are priorities against other things that senators want to or have asked to prioritize, which include funding for shortfalls in helping people with drug rehabilitation or alcohol abuse rehabilitation, shortages in funding for Medicaid for those most vulnerable who need medical assistance. And what about for things like paying for locally funding individual assistance for families who experience losses during Sinlaku and from Bavi? Why is it that the administration is prioritizing response and recovery money for contractual services, for businesses, rather than for people, for the everyday people of Guam? And that's the third thing that I want to talk about today. And we're going to bring Senator Jesse Lujan into the conversation by phone. All these numbers that are being tossed around during session about disaster spending and really about any government spending. And the question that needs to be asked is, because that it's money that's paid to people, who are these people being paid with our funds? We will get to all of these things on the other side of the commercial break. Stick with us.
Leadership isn't measured by campaign promises. It's measured by a lifetime of keeping them. For years, Tony Atta has delivered results for the people of Guam. He authored Guam's Castle Doctrine, strengthening the rights of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their families. He passed laws protecting consumers, strengthened opportunities to bring more doctors and healthcare professionals to Guam, fought for small local businesses, and worked to make government serve the people, not the other way around. His record isn't built on speeches. It's built on action, on integrity, on keeping his word. That's what put Guam first means, putting our island first.
As your governor, I will lead with integrity, and every decision I make will put Guam first. I'm Tony Atta, and I humbly ask for your vote. I'm Tony Atta, and I approve this message.
Good Morning Show with Troy Torres is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good morning and welcome back to the show. Now all I want to do is eat a big bacon classic over at Wendy's. That's what that sound that. And most of the time I am chowing down at Wendy's on either a big bacon classic or my favorite actually is Dave's Single, the original bigger sandwich over at it goes up to a triple, by the way, but that's a little much for me. And that's I have no business eating a sandwich as big as that, because I look at food and I gain the weight. For all of you who are like me, for all of you who struggle with weight, God bless you. And for those of you who are skinny, God bless me for all the thoughts I have in my head about you. They're unkind thoughts. I'm just kidding. Anyway, My name is Troy Torres. It's now 8:48 a.m. on Saturday, July 25, 2026. Welcome to the morning show on Kandit. There is great news that came out last night that if you have SNAP, food stamps, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, um, last night at, I think it was 11 p.m. or what did it say? Beginning after 7 p.m. last night, SNAP participants who received their July 2026 benefits between July 1 and July 5 will have 30% of their July 2026 benefits automatically issued to their EBT cards. That's directly from the Joint Information Center. All that means is you're going to get more. You're going to get more money in your, or more benefits in your EBT. 30%. So let's say your benefits are $1,000 in July. Like in you got on a regular benefit schedule, you got $1,000 in SNAP benefits for the month of July. You're going to get $300 extra, like on top of that. That should have been, it should have begun loading last night if you received your benefits between July 1 and July 5. It doesn't say anything about the benefits, extra benefits for those who receive their benefits between July 6 and July, whenever it is, that maybe it's July 10 or something like that, right? I don't know how it works. I just know that in the first part of the month, that's when the benefits are loaded. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of an announcement about that, right? This is a great thing for people who have SNAP. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to complain about that part. That part is wonderful. That's great progress, right? What I'm concerned about is that the administration so far has failed to convince the federal government to provide DSNAP for both Sinlaku and for Bobby. They do say here, USDA's Food and Nutrition Administration has approved Public Health's request for a waiver to provide this mass replacement due to food spoilage caused by. So that's for regular SNAP. So I'm concerned. Never mind that last part that I just said. I'm concerned about everyone else who does not qualify for SNAP, does not regularly receive SNAP, and experience food losses in both Sinlaku and Bavi. Like in Sinlaku, I experienced food losses. I had a refrigerator full of stuff. But in Bavi, because I was monitoring the storm and because I had coincidentally begun to run out of food, by the time I started monitoring the storm, like way before it became a public thing, like a thing of public concern, I was going to make a decision to, or I was about to go shopping for meats for the freezer. And because I was following Bavi and because I was having conversations with Landon Idlet, I was like, oh, I think maybe I'm not going to buy anything. So I didn't have much spoilage after when Bavi came and the power went off. And my power didn't go back on for another 8 days, and there wasn't that much that spoiled. But I mean, almost everybody I talked to had food spoilage, and everyone of those who I talked to who do not have SNAP have been asking, is the government going to provide DSNAP? And just to be clear, DSNAP is a federal program, but nothing prevents the local government from subsidizing that cost. Especially, you hear the governor and the lieutenant governor say all the time, the economy is great. I don't know who they think the economy is great for, except for big business. They say that the finances are wonderful, and they talk about $74 million in a rainy day fund that they have. They talk about all of this additional or excess funding in fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26 that they're appropriating. They're even in a special session right now to appropriate this funding. But it's a rainy day for many of our residents who experience that food spoilage. And it's not just food spoilage. It's also damages that happen to people's cars, people's homes. There are entire homes that have been destroyed, and federal benefits not accruing because the administration has failed to convince the federal government that we could use these services. And so you have a whole bunch of people waiting in limbo, and you have a whole bunch of people rightfully asking, what the hell? What gives? How come there's no sense of urgency on this? And then you have the legislature that's in session thrown in there by the governor for her bill to appropriate $42 million. And like some of that money is going to go to a good cause, the child care subsidies. That's a wonderful thing, right? But the rest of it, questionable $14 million for use for disaster and disaster response and recovery bills, and another amount of money for a bailout, another bailout for the Guam International Airport Authority. And so the administration sees that there are these, well, I don't know. I don't know if they actually see that these are areas that are struggling, or if this is just a, I don't know if any of these senators have said it like out loud, but I in private conversations with them, and I know many of them who I haven't talked to are thinking this is this just another way for the administration to continue hiring and to give out pay raises as political bribes for people to vote for them? Now, remember, we're talking about the election is just a week away. The governor has really been pushing this thing. And when you hear what they've been talking about in session, it does not appear that there is real urgency behind some of this stuff. There is actual urgency behind the child care subsidy part, but everything else that they're talking about, they're like, yeah, even these agencies are like, nah, and they can't even get to a certain amount. And so my point here is priorities. Like, why is it? And you see the administration's campaign to get elected to a third term, the Josh and Tina campaign. They're on the one hand, they're saying that they're for the people, they're for the poor, they're going to prioritize things for those most vulnerable. But the actions of the administration, on the other hand, the priority has been big business. The priority has been the contractors. The priority has been their own agencies, or, nifty pay raises for upper management. The priority has, when you look at their actions, the priority is not people with food spoilage from Sinlaku and from Bavi. The priority is not people who got their cars or their homes damaged or need to make other types of repairs or experienced other types of losses from these storms. The priority is not the residential treatment program and the full funding of Medicaid and all of these other things that people struggle with. And it was really nice to see the legislature coming together, most of them, half of the Democrats, and I think all of the Republicans, coming together to scrutinize the administration about this type of thing. Should we call Senator Lujan now? Because this is, give me a second to think about this. Call him now, or let's wait to the other side of the commercial break. We'll have Senator Jesse Lujan on the phone to talk about this issue of priorities and get his take on things and how the session is going along. And so stick with us. We'll get to that on the other side of the commercial break, along with my take on who's getting rich off of all this money. That's what I'm going to eat today. Today I'm going to eat pizza, and it's going to be an extravaganza pizza from Domino's. That same pizza that you saw, that we all saw in that commercial, that with the gooey cheese and all the stuff on top. Yeah, that's the pizza that I'm going to eat. It's going to be stuffed crust. I am on my diet, so I'm only going to eat. I'm going to tell myself I'm only going to eat one slice, and maybe lie in my. I have a tracker where I track my calories. No, I'm not going to lie about that in case my coach is watching this right now. Jeff Saavedra from Amista Fitness, in case you need some assistance like I do in leading a healthier lifestyle. The Domino's Pizza, I love you so much. Especially all of you working at the Jigo location. You guys are my favorite of all time. My name is Troy Torres. It's now 8:59 a.m. on Saturday, July 25, 2026. I had Senator Jesse Lujan on the phone, but he asked me if I can call him back because he and his wife are dropping, they're at the rectory in Tumaning, dropping something to Father Carl. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but I figured that's not a bad thing to say. So we're gonna continue our conversation about the legislature, and then in a couple of minutes we're gonna call him back and get his thoughts. But here's the thing. During this session, right, and I hope the senators are moving toward this, right, because I did hear at least a couple of them ask for some details on this. Is these guys in the administration, they're tossing around all of these numbers. They're saying things like 3 million for this and 5 million for this and whatever, right? And it's not just in this session, but in any conversation that the government has where they talk about the use of money. Now, we know that a great portion of the budget, I want to say like somewhere at around 60% of the annual budget goes to personnel costs. Now, there are some people who say things like, oh, the personnel cost is 90%. That's not true. A gigantic portion of the budget goes to contractual services. Now, personnel costs, that's easy to explain away, right? For however you think of what the pay that government employees get. I personally have no problem with the pay that most government employees get. I do know, like in any organization, there are some useless employees who absolutely do not deserve the pay that they get or even to work there. I understand that and I know that those people exist in every. I don't know for a fact that they exist in every single agency, but in my experience, I know that in at least some agencies for a fact that there are employees like that who should not be working in those agencies, or definitely should not be in the positions that they're in, and certainly should not be paid the wild amount of money that they're paid. Oh, hold on. Senator Lujan is calling us now. Hi, good morning, Senator.
Hey, sorry, my brother.
No, that's okay. I hope you don't mind. I told my whole audience that that I had you on the phone, but you couldn't. You had to call us back because you and your wife were dropping something to Father Carl. I
Yes.
figured that wouldn't hurt.
He took precedence over you this morning.
Yeah,
Sorry
no,
about that.
please, no. Hey, anytime. I love Father Carl, by the way. He's awesome.
Yeah, no. Actually, he's same town as my wife, and actually his cousin was the one that married Marianne and I. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So Father Carl, for those of you who don't know, Father Carl is the parochial administrator of St. Anthony Church, Father Carl Villa. And he is also my parochial administrator, Father Val Rodriguez, told us parishioners that Father Carl was actually his mentor back in seminary in the Philippines. Yeah. So
Yes, yeah,
both wonderful.
Yeah, we love it. We love him dearly.
So, Senator,
and yeah, yes, sir.
we've been on the show this morning and also yesterday. We've been talking about this issue of priorities, and I was telling our audience just a few minutes ago that it was really nice to see, as opposed to what was happening in the budget session. In this session, on the special session on the governor's request for supplemental funding, it's nice to see at least half of the Democrats and what I think is all of the Republicans joining together to scrutinize appropriately, I believe, in my opinion, the administration and its requests for funding. And because of this scrutiny and this togetherness that you guys have on this scrutiny of the priorities of the administration, and also whether what they're saying even makes sense or adds up, we're getting the public is getting some great answers and wonderful insight about what's going on in the administration. So I wanted to give you an opportunity, first of all, to talk about your thoughts on these priorities, things like the airport bailout, another airport bailout being more important than, say, individual assistance for families who experience losses during Bavi and Senlaku, food assistance to replace spoilage, Medicaid funding, residential treatment fund, those things that you guys have brought up as priorities, right? Versus an airport bailout. And then the other thing is the 14 million dollars in disaster response and recovery monies that the administration just can't seem to account for why they want this money.
Sure.
Yeah. Please go
Sure,
ahead.
no, absolutely, and as you had seen actually in the budget hearing, or actually in the hearings that we've had this week, right? You see the disastrous, pretty much, situation with the Bobby, monies, right?
Yeah.
Where checks where individual checks were written out to $250,000, and then when we gave the DOE money, $1.25 million, only $500,000 was given to them, and we said, what happened? Did you run out of checks? That. So we saw the disastrous situation in that. It wasn't done right. The situation, unfortunately, the situation here, Troy, here is this, right? I received letters. I've got all the letters from all the airlines, and they're written not only just to me, but CC'd me basically. The unfortunate thing is, well, the airport. This is the first time ever that the airport is that government of Guam is ever going to bail out the airport. We're in dire straits at this point, and it's kind of the situation here is that you have a sick child and you need to feed the family as well. What is a priority? They're both priorities. You got to feed the family, and you got to get the medication. And if you have $100, well, you got to the $100 is going to last for feeding the family as well as as buying the medicine for the sick child, right? Here's a situation where the airport had already approved to raise the fees for for each passenger, right, from $35 to $55. And so the airlines, I'm having the airport on Monday. They're going to be coming in. I'm sure the oversight chair or budget, finance and budget will be calling them in for the committee of the whole to read the letters, and because the airlines are saying, hey, we're already greatly challenged. We're already greatly challenged here. This extra fee now just make it more unaffordable for people to travel. And they're, I think two, if not three of them, are already looking to pull out. The situation that we're in here, Troy, is this, right? This is the linchpin. If the airport collapses, we don't have airlines coming in here. Wow, everything else that's very important to us, might follow suit right after. So we're going to have to call them in. They're going to be called in to see really what the situation is, and we know we're in dire straits, but we want to see how critical they are at this point. So we'll wait until Monday to do that. But we're in it's a terrible situation that we're in right now, and we want to make sure that monies that are allocated go to the right places and held accountable. I mean, look at the situation. You've been calling this out since last year. I mean, we made a gamble. We based it on experts in the tourism GVB, and it turned out to be a bad gamble. And so they're not going to be getting any subsidies. So we're going to have to wait and see what the airport administration says, and calling them in and account for every single penny that has been and we haven't been subsidizing because we've never subsidized the airport. This is the first time that they're asking for a bailout. So we're going to see really what their financial situation looks like.
So three things.
And hopefully Monday of. Yeah.
Three things, Senator. When I said there were previous bailouts, what I really meant was on their concession agreement, right? They got bailouts from the legislature on a procurement issue, which was necessary. I understand. I understand. But the second thing is are you guys going to ask the airport what have you guys been doing to cut costs? Because we know that
Sure,
for years
sure,
and years and years,
sure.
the airport is the place that you want to work in the government of Guam. Like, let's say you're a PIO, right? Like all of the public information officers in the government of Guam always knew that the cushiest job was to be the airport PIO, right? Or if you wanted to be an accountant or a police officer or a firefighter, the best job's always at the airport, right? So you
Sure.
know the question is, one of the questions is, okay, you're raising this money and it's going to have a deleterious effect on tourism, because you're going to increase these employment fees are going to increase the ticket costs, and ticket costs are a
That's right.
driving factor against people coming to Guam, right? So
Sure,
this is a
sure.
tourism thing. But the third thing, Senator, is, doesn't the administration owe the airport a remittance of like $9 million in fuel tax revenues or something like that?
Actually, it's more than 9 million. It's I think about 27 million.
So what the
Nine
hell?
million.
Why is the
Nine,
administration asking you guys to do the bailout?
yeah, and you know, and it's actually, you know, it's monies that the airport collected already. It's monies that the airport collected already, and it was taken away from them. Yeah, actually, absolutely, yes, yes, and that's why, you know, even last year we gave the administration a 50% or 50 transfer authority to be able to do that. Here, take that. You can do that. And you know, the unfortunate thing with that as well. I mean, there's a positive and negative thing to that. The positive thing is that the monies that either we give to them or the administration gives to them in 27 million basically is with the interest, it all stays in the airport. This is being bestowed upon them by the FAA, because this is the FAA telling you have to collect this thing, and they have done it. But then the government chose to take it out of there and use it for whatever what it is that they're going to use, that they used it for. And so now the airport is without that, and FAA is saying, look, we're imposing a penalty for that money being taken away, but that money will stay with the airport, inclusive of the penalty fees.
You know, when I was in the administration, the airport guarded that money like a hawk because of bond covenants and because of FAA restrictions. And I remember there was one time that Governor Calvo, because there were dire financial straits from the Trump tax cuts at the time, Governor Calvo wanted to take money. He was like, look, the airport's sitting on all this money. Let's just take their damn money. And the airport came back ferociously, and they were like, you know, Governor, we cannot do this because of the bond covenants and because of the FAA. So was the airport lying back then, or is the airport just rolling over right now? Because this is a very different change in tune.
Yes, it is. It is definitely a change in tune, and you're absolutely right with that situation.
Senator, can you hear me?
If the airport, I mean, if it's truly a fact that you know, they're going to default in some of these payments and things like that, right? The bond, you know, their bond rating will definitely be affected, which will affect everything else in Guam. You know.
Yeah. And so the taking of that money, or the non-remittance of that money.
So look at to have an airport come in there and explain all these situations in regards to monies, the fuel taxes that they've collected over the years, and where that money went, and you know, whether or not you know, there. Give them back that money, or is it going to come from the general fund? Because, you know, obviously it's going to come from the general fund now that is taken away, right?
Yeah, that sounds absurd to me, that this money would come from the general fund. This would be just like even worse than, I was gonna say tantamount to, but worse than, you know, the general fund subsidizing Guam Visitors Bureau. And you know, even at that, Senator, we know how. Oh, I think he has. Hi, are you there? I know your reception seems kind of. I'm not gonna ask you what phone service you have.
Actually, I'm sitting here. I'm still in the front of the church, so I haven't moved.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so this is this is the tourist attraction fund. Anytime that in the past where you talked about where anyone would talk about, oh, let's just take some of the hotel occupancy taxes and use it for something outside of the tourist attraction fund, you have GVB, fighting tooth and nail against something like that. Oh, that belongs with and the other thing. But I
Hmm.
feel like the administration is not even batting an eye about the taking of this fuel tax money away from the airport.
Well, and that's exactly the point. Troy, is these are the things we're finding out, right? These are the things we're finding out. So I can't wait to see what else we're going to find out on Monday, right? That when they come in here. But no, you're exactly right, and so we're in this situation. It's like, yeah, no, it's what do we do, right? What do we do? We don't want them to default in the bond because everything else is going to be affected. And if the airlines pull out, no tourists come to Guam, everything else is going to close out. More stores, more businesses are going to close. And, programs that people are again that rely on monies that taxes and things of that nature, and less money coming in, there's kind of a trickle down effect. So I'm excited to listen to it, but it really scares the heck out of me as well. In anticipation of Monday, because I don't know what we're going to hear, and it's not looking good. It's really not looking good, and the letters I've received from the airlines is pretty straightforward, and pretty troublesome.
Senator, do you also find it duplicitous, the way I find it duplicitous, that the administration on one hand talks about strong finances and strong economy and the need to help the most vulnerable, and then on the other hand prioritizes these things over things like help for families to recover from Bavi and Sinlaku, and help for people who need drug or alcohol rehabilitation, help for people who need medical care through the Medicaid program, help for I guess they're gonna do the child care subsidy part, so that's at least one bright spot, right? But do you find it as duplicitous as I find it?
Yes, no, absolutely, absolutely, and the funding, I mean, you're like, wow, and the pursuit of even the reimbursement, like even this childcare situation, right? We need to pursue that even greater than we're doing right now in regards to the reimbursements for these things, because if we get reimbursed, and when are we going to get reimbursed for these things? Because the reimbursement will help to pay for some of these things that some of these programs and situations that we're in at this point. We can't even get we don't even have an idea when these things are going to be resolved. And unlike childcare situations back in the mainland, where they there's just so many situations where they're a front for something else. We don't have that many here in Guam. It's very easy to find out. It's very easy to submit your paperwork, and that these are legitimate business, and move forward, and make sure that we get the payments. I mean, that's what you got to do, and once keep. I don't know at this point.
Senator,
And I'm just, it's just, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, no, I was the one thing I noticed about this session, and of course, other sessions, is whenever you guys have committee of the whole and you guys ask questions about the spending of money on this thing or that thing, the administration talks in terms of numbers, and it's striking to me how much money is spent, how much of our taxpayer money is spent on vendors and contracts. And it goes to show that yes, there are people who are making a lot of money. There are companies making a lot of money off of public funds, which means that our money is being used for other people to get rich. And I'm just curious as to who these people are, who these businesses are that are getting rich off of public contracts. And I'm wondering, Senator, is this something that the legislature is also anxious to get to the bottom of? Because when you heard like Lucy Perez and Joe Cabana and Ed Byrne and Lester Carlson talk about the amount of money that's being used for disaster response, disaster recovery, or whatever, these are contracts. If it's not for the
Hmm.
overtime costs, right? If it's not for personnel costs,
Yep.
it's for contracts, because very little of that is supplies and equipment.
Hmm.
Even if it is supplies and equipment, that's also companies getting money. So these are all contracts, right?
Sure.
Who are you just as curious as I am? Who are
Oh
these
no, no,
companies?
no, we're absolutely very curious, and most especially, when in times where emergency procurements, right, and
Yeah.
happen, right, and I mean, we see, I mean, look at the situation, right, whenever there's a federal disaster, a federal proclamation of disaster, or even COVID and things like that, where when you have basically when you have full control of things, right, and not having to rely on another branch of government to and in the straight and narrow, we see this all too often in our situation here, that people get in trouble because things are not done properly.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
thank you for sharing that
we've seen
concern.
people, yeah, we've seen people who have done time because of it, for just improper disbursement of funding. We've seen it.
I hope the Attorney General is closely monitoring these issues, and especially the special session, so that he can better
Hmm.
understand, maybe what he might need to do in order to um
Sure.
see justice done, but also to satisfy the yearning of a public that's growing concerned about corruption in our community and
Sure.
cronyism.
Sure. No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And at this point, I'm not accusing anybody, but yeah, as you are, I'm very curious, and in the end, it's going to be flushed out, and it's going to be known. It's going to be there's no doubt, right? There's no doubt it's going to happen, and I think we're asking the right questions and going down the right road to make sure that the funding that comes in, and the critical times that we're in, and the expenditures are accounted for, and people are held accountable. I mean, absolutely, this is the people's money. This is not something that we just print out and say, hey, it doesn't matter. We can print out more, right? No, this is hard-earned money, and we want an island that prospers, but we want an island that prospers for everybody, and so. We want to make sure that things are done right and correctly.
Thank you
So
for recognizing that. We'll be
I'm
continuing to watch how you and the other senators scrutinize the administration and the answers that you demand from them in the coming days as session progresses. I saw, Senator, just as a last point, not saw, I haven't seen it myself, but I've been told by a couple of reliable Republican insiders about a credible poll that the Republicans did that shows you at
Mhm.
number one. Are you aware of that?
Well, I'm number one on the ballot. That's for sure.
No, that you came out number one among those who say that they're going to vote in the Republican primary in August 1.
Well, I tell you, man, I love certain people, and I hope that I love my work. I love the people involved, and that's why this morning when you called me, I said, hey, I'm here working out because I can take care of myself if I want to be able to take care of the people of Guam. So I got to do that, right?
Yeah.
But I leave it to the people, man. If they want me to continue to serve them, I would love that. And the only poll to me that matters basically is what what the people do. Come August 1st, and then I think it's November 3rd, and I asked for their vote, and if it number one, wow, thank you very much. Again, it just the privilege of serving the people of Guam is such an honor and a privilege.
Well, thank
It.
you so much for your time, Senator. I very much appreciate you calling in, or
and,
accepting our call.
and thank you for folks like yourself that keep people in check, right? Keep people in check, because and every time I see you too, you tell me the good things that are done, but then you say, hey, but I don't like this that you did. but thank you for that, and actually that's a true friend that does that. That's a true friend that does that.
Thank you,
But
Senator.
but
Yes.
thank you much, and God bless, huh?
God bless you, my friend. God bless you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Lujan. Glad to know that. Oh, this thing is not holding up. Glad to know that they will be continuing to ask the administration questions about what they want to use that money for and what they've already used money for. Because I mean, you just do the logic on it, right? Like, they're talking about all this money for anything that the government spends money on. And if it's, right before the call, the point that I was trying to make goes to this. Something like 60% or something like that of what the government spends money on is personnel costs. I think within that is the retirement cost, which goes to pay down the debt that the government has in the for the unfunded accrued liability, the old plan. And then the remainder of that, like a little bit of that is supplies and equipment. Some of that is rent. But the second largest part of the pie is contractual services. And for personnel costs, at the very least, whether you agree with the salaries that these people are getting or how many people are there, but at the very least, that money is being distributed out through the economy into the hands of these 12,000, 13,000. By the way, has anyone not noticed? Am I the only person who has noticed that the government of Guam payroll has grown by 2,000 or 3,000 people since Eddie Calvo left office? I just wanted to leave you with that. At least it's being dispersed and it's being spread throughout the economy in the public sector through all these people they're in the middle class. Most of them are in like the lower middle class or the regular middle class. Most of these people are not upper middle class, and they're certainly not rich. Like, the vast majority of them are certainly not rich, right? So at least the money is being spread around when it comes to about 60% of the budget. But it's that 30% or whatever that is, whatever that second largest portion of the pie is, going to vendors, going to contractual services. And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you get to see in whoever the people are that are going to these fundraisers, that are making donations into certain places, hiring family members of whoever, right? This is where the corruption really is. The cronyism is with the hiring and the pay and all that stuff among the rank and file. The corruption is with those contractual services. And so whenever these government bureaucrats and administration officials talk about the amount of money that's being used for each of these different things, there is something behind that we need to ask, because the connection is, who are these people getting our money and getting rich off of this stuff? This is really where everything is. This is really where the investigation needs to happen, by the media, by who, and if there's something wrong, by the law. And we know that there's something wrong. Come on. We know that this is what's happening. And so this is why it's good for these senators to get together and to ask the tough questions. But I think the questions that need to be asked is, who's getting rich off of our money? On the other side of the commercial break, I want to appeal to all of you to help. And there's many people on this island who need help, but there's a particular case that breaks my heart about a man in Hoggett who's living at the Hoggett Marina with his dogs. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, Troy, you only care about the dogs. That's not true. I care about this. I've never met him, but the story that was brought to me by Kimberly Garrettson from Hoggett, it breaks my heart, and I'm hoping that we can all help this guy. And we'll talk about we'll talk about him and his plight on the other side of this commercial break. And I'll show you some pictures too. Stick with us.
We delivered. Guam Autospot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam Autospot, where the savings never stop.
This stuff's hitting the spot. Just, when you're not organized and you don't write things down and you have the list of things to do that you never listed out. During the break, I just remembered someone sent me something on my phone and was like, "Can you post this?" And I said yes. The problem was I was having my coffee and I didn't have a pen and paper in front of me. And I'm still not really used to going on my phone and writing a list because I'm old. And now I can't. If you are that person and you are watching this live stream or the replay, can you please send me a reminder? If you messaged me this morning to post something and I said, yeah, I'll post that, can you resend me the message, please, whoever you are? Because I forgot, and I'm gonna rack my brain, and there's no way I can go through all of the messages. I have a lot of messages I have a lot of contacts on WhatsApp, and yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not very organized. Okay, you know what? I've never had a secretary in my life. Like, all the years that I worked in the Calvo administration, I had a senior position, right? But we just fiscal responsibility and all that. Like we didn't want to hire more people than we had to hire, and so my coworkers were all, we all had specific tasks, and we were all responsible for organizing our own stuff. We had some divas who were like, "Oh, I need a secretary because I need some help with organization or whatever." It's like, well, isn't it nice to be you in the senior staff, huh? But in the communications office, there was four of us. There was me and three other people. Someone to help with the media because I couldn't. And someone to do the spokesman duties because I didn't want to because I was vain, I was fat, and all that stuff. Right? We had the graphic artist who also doubled as the photographer, and we had a writer, and that was it. It was just four of us doing amazing work. Anyway. Just a little history on me. I'm not important. What's important is this man, and I do not know his name. But here, sorry. I keep forgetting on this. Oh, there it is. I do not know his name, but a couple of days ago, Kimberly Garrettson from Hoggett, she messaged me and she said, "Hey, Troy, do you think that there's anything that can be done to get people to help?" So Kimberly Garrettson, for the past few days, has been, when she goes to work, she prepares her lunch and she just doubles up on what she makes, and she prepares a separate thing, and she drops to the Hoggett Marina some food for this old man. And this old man, I don't know his name. She calls him Uncle. I forgot. I need to ask Kimberly again. But those are, I think, two of the three dogs that he has come to own. And it's because he just ends up caring for the dogs that people dump over at the Hoggett Marina, which is a whole other issue. We'll talk about that some other time. Anyway, this old man came from the States. And he came to Guam on a sailboat. And when he got to Guam, he was like, yeah, this is where I'm going to live out my years. So he is our fellow Guamanian. What it also means is according to Kimberly, he very likely does not have family here. She doesn't think that he has any family here. And he had been living in his sailboat with his dogs. And during Typhoon Bobby, the sailboat started to take water, and he was using a bucket to take the water out of the sailboat in the middle of the storm. At a certain point, it became too dangerous for the dogs, so he got off of the boat with the dogs to secure them off of the docks, to make sure that they were okay. And then when he got back to the dock, I think it's to B dock is where it was, his boat had taken on 3 feet of water and it was not salvageable by that time. His boat is now underwater, and that was his home. And when he saw that there was nothing more that could be done with his boat, he went into the restroom at the marina and took shelter there with his dogs during Bobby. And so now this man, Uncle, I can't remember the name that Kimberly gave. There's another homeless person at the Hoggett Marina. I don't know how many there are, but there's at least another person, and he lives in his car. And so he made this makeshift, he made this shack for the old man and his dogs over at the marina. It's just what looks like some 2x4 or 1x2 even, with a blue tarp over it. And it's there's a cot inside there, and that's where the old man sleeps with his dogs and takes shelter from the rain. I know it's heartbreaking, right? Like, it's just... This is the economy. And this is why I get so upset when I hear the governor and the lieutenant governor or even senators say things like, oh, we have a strong economy. And I'm like, strong for who? Because here's the real economy right here. And thousands of others who, including children, who live in similar conditions because they cannot afford strong homes that, you know what I'm talking about, right? And even for those who do live in concrete shelters, or at least homes that are stronger than this, the struggle remains real. It's one person at a time, right? It's the improvement here that we can make, the difference that we can make in people's lives. It's one person at a time, if there's anything that I've learned over the past few years. And so with this old man, I spoke with Hoggett Mayor Kevin Siswico this morning, and he said absolutely. He said, I asked him, if I put this out on Kandit, can we ask people who would like to help this man with anything to donate whatever that is over to his office, and then his office will get the assistance over to this old man? He said yes. So that's all I wanted to ask. If you can help this old man, if there's anything that you can give to help this man to live, or even to get back onto his feet, please bring that assistance over to the Hoggett Mayor's office, or call Kevin Siswico over at the Hoggett Mayor's office to help out. And I know that there's many other people who need help as well, but one person at a time. And this is one story that I'm going to bring to you today. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about this before I get more emotional than I need to get. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Join me tonight for the Troy Torres Show, where we're going to begin a series let out of gubernatorial interviews. Tonight, we're going to start with the very first interview that we ever conducted with a gubernatorial candidate, and it is with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. Stick with us, or stay tuned for that coverage tonight. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Good morning, and God bless you all.
Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army, and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.